How much time do you have left this week?
1 minute.
You want to sign after the meeting?
We'll have to.
There's just a few items.
No. She's like on the iPad now, so yeah, she'll be like, yeah. I like her just going on the iPad. Look at you. She's like, "Oh." But then the TV is on there.
That was almost as bad as
Poor baby. Yeah, we should sing happy birthday. Yeah.
I'd like to call the February 18th, 2020 regular meeting of the Hendry County School Board to order. If you would please join me in standing, and if so led, join us in the invocation. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you could remain standing for a moment of silence in honor and memory of Stephen Burleson. Mr. Burleson was employed as a teacher at Central Elementary School from 1993 to 2018. Thank you.
At this time, have a recognition from Joe Lucia. Did I spell that right? Say that right?
Yes, ma'am, Lisette.
Lucia, the Hendry County Forestry Area Supervisor. Would you like to come forward to the podium? I'm not going to let you hide in the back.
This is sort of a formality because we already have the check.
Yes, sir, you do. As you all know, we do have a state forest in Hendry County, it's the Okalawakuchi Slough, and it just represents a small portion of the revenue that is collected in state forest.
How much was that?
It should be listed in your packet.
It's in our packet. It's for $1,736.17. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Also, I wanted to say something because Arbor Day is coming up in April, you know, for the schools and stuff like that. So if any of the schools would like any information or any help on anything, we do have a forester at our office in Fort Myers. His name is Clark Riles. And if any help or anything is needed on it, by all means, give him a call and see how we can be of help.
Very good.
Thank you so much.
Okay, well, thank you.
All right, thank you, sir.
At this time, is there any citizen comment on agenda items? Having no citizen comment on agenda items, let's move forward to consent agenda. Is there anything that any board member would like to have removed from consent agenda and moved down to an action item? Everybody's okay? Ms. Thompson, I would like to remove item F, personnel recommendations, and move that to action items, to action item B. All right. Last call for the pool for action items.
Madam Chair?
Yes, sir?
The only thing I'd like to say is I did request on the janitorial services a little more of a detailed list, and I did get that, so I do want to thank Ms. Riccardi and her staff or whoever provided that. That was very helpful. Now I know exactly what we are contracting out, so I do appreciate that very much.
All right, thank you for that. On consent agenda, superintendent, do I have a recommendation?
Madam Chair, I recommend approval of the consent agenda.
Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Consent agenda is approved unanimously. Under action items, I want to open, is it a hearing? Open the hearing on a proposed new policy, medical marijuana treatment and medication administration as advertised. So do we have any public comment at this time? Okay, then with no public comment, we'll close the hearing. Do I have a recommendation for the superintendent?
Yes, Madam Chair, I recommend approval of the proposed policy.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
A second? Second. Any discussion?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Yes, sir.
I just still think we're opening ourselves up for some down the line problems by allowing medical marijuana on our campuses. It's against federal law. I understand DOE says we have to have some type of policy in place. I just believe that we should tell them if you want to administer that to a student, take them off campus. It's just my personal feeling. I just would like for everybody to really think about that. That is federal law. It's not state. Federal says it's still against the law.
For clarification, Mr. McKinley, this policy only addresses low THC, like a,
No, it's also regular medical marijuana. They're both
Okay.
included in the definition. It excludes smokable. It's edible and tincture and things of that nature.
Yes. I do have a question, Madam Chair. What does that do? Does that open up an avenue for personnel? If they have a medical marijuana card?
Well, that's another issue that districts are wrestling with. The law is not as clear, so to speak, as this, which is just simply in conflict. What districts seem to be moving toward is identifying safety-related positions. For example, the feds have some jurisdiction over school bus drivers.
Mm-hmm.
So those would clearly not be able to use medical marijuana during working hours under any circumstances. But the rest of it is a continuum of opinion.
Right. So,
But
I mean,
this is something that the governor's office and DOE took the position that we've got to do this. It's in the statute somewhere, I guess.
Mhm.
We have to have it, so they're busily enforcing that we have some kind of policy
so,
that's consistent with the medical marijuana state law.
right. So technically, if we pass this policy and then we have staff that says, I have my marijuana card and I want to administer to myself because I have my card, do we have to provide them a place to do that?
Not under current law, but the law might move in that direction, but we don't have to do it today.
But if we adopt the policy and we're allowing you to do it to a student, why are we not allowing our staff to do it?
Well, those are very good questions.
I mean,
All very
that's
good
my,
questions. But
that's
the-
what I'm saying, we're
the
opening up. I
Student
think.
administration, though, we have to do that. The state is taking the position that we have to do
Yeah,
that.
I'm just
The
saying.
state's not quite as firm on the more troublesome issues that you're talking
You are
Right.
probably correct in saying all of this, but
Mhm.
this is one of those, we're one of the last districts in the state to approve it.
Mhm.
And we get calls about why has this not been done?
Right.
So
Well-
it's definitely on someone's radar.
Well, I'm not saying that we have, that we,
I
But we can
believe
take
the
out.
pitfalls that you're outlining are there.
We-
Do believe that. There are lots of questions that are unresolved.
the state isn't mandating we give them a room, that's our policy, right? That's what we're proposing.
That's for the
Is that
sake of,
correct?
yes, but the reasoning there is for the sake of security for everyone. Remember, we're strict about it not being stored on our campus. The parent or the guardian brings it, administers it to the student, and leaves. We don't administer it or keep it. So if that's going to be our policy, it seems like we have to have some kind of appropriate place for them to do that. It's not a magically set aside place. It's like, you know, a small administrative conference room near the front, hopefully.
I don't know, I just, to do that, I think we might as well just take drug-free, drug, off our school system, off our schools altogether. I mean, we're allowing it on our campus. We're not a drug-free school zone anymore. Just my opinion. Yeah.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
It passes 4-1 with Basquin. 3-1, sorry, I missed the red. 3-1 with Mr. Basquin, nay. Item B is personnel recommendations. Do I have a recommendation from the superintendent?
Yes, you do. I would like to amend the Unit 6 supplemental teacher allocation to allow that to be paid only for those personnel who were evaluated under an instructional appraisal form. So there are essentially two people who that would remove from the list. This is a little bit, this is not a little bit, this is controversial. And what this is a school that gets a D or an F in order to attract teachers, to retain teachers or attract teachers. They're paid up to, I think for a highly effective, is it 10,000? 15,000. For an effective, it's $7,500, a substantial amount of money. In order for them to qualify, they have to have VAM scores, a value added model score that proves that a year's worth of teaching has resulted in a year's worth of gains. And so these teachers have done that. There are teachers, that does not mean that there are teachers at close to middle who are not working hard, but they did not have the VAM scores to go with it. In addition, there are certain decisions that were made at the school site based on a principal or the school wanting to go for the acceleration points that would have zoned some students out or some teachers out. For instance, 7th grade algebra would not count, but 7th grade general math, 7th grade math would, okay? You would not necessarily not want to go for the acceleration points because that means you're trying to get the D or the F. So it's just one of those mixed blessings. And I would, for that sake, I would like to take out people who were not evaluated with an instructional appraisal program form. Now, I recommend approval of the personnel action.
With the amendments that
With the amendment.
he just mentioned. Do we have a motion
So moved.
Second.
and discussion? I have a discussion on this one. And on these additional pay per HCEA contract, what I would assume would be like a professional development or stuff after school, after contract hours. Is any of this funded through the general fund?
Yes, but this is basically not after school. These are teachers who have agreed to cover for substitutes.
Okay,
So it's a method of getting a certified teacher in there when a substitute cannot be there. So it is general fund.
okay, so if we're paying for that with general fund, I'd like to have a financial number attached to that.
On the top of the sheet, doesn't it say the total amount for the general fund?
It shows additional days and hours for general fund,
Oh.
There's,
and then that was just for some transportation overtime.
It's just
And then we get down to additional pay for HCEA, and there's not any,
there are no numbers.
No
showing
numbers
How
attached.
much the teachers are making. And we have those worksheets. That's what I was wondering about that today as I was signing some of them, would just be easy matter of providing that documentation.
It can be done.
Yeah, I can tell you, it's like $25, $27, depending on experience level and degree attainment.
I
But we can get that.
want
That's-
to note that because, you know, we're talking about making informed decisions and, so I, let's just put it out there. My second issue,
Now, but can you,
yep,
when you get that information, the horse is already out of the barn. It's already been done. And that is a collective bargaining agreement. So it would be just like an after the event, here's how much this is costing us.
I mean, I just think it helps
Yeah.
with, we have a better idea of
Nope.
what we're
Got it.
spending for, in sub money, and, you know, if we're talking about having a holistic understanding of our finances, I think that's an area, especially when we say 78% of our general fund budget goes back to, salaries. And, so I think that is important information for us to know. One of my issues in looking at these is I'm concerned that we have this request for these at Clewiston High School that are going back till August 18th. And right now, it's the middle of February. And we already know that we had some major issues going on with oversight. And, you know, I would think that if I had if you owed me money from August, I would have called you 4 or 5 times by now, sent some emails.
It's connected.
It's all connected, all right.
It is connected, and some of the teachers who did this extra work were told that they were not gonna be paid. And that's not true. That's why we are going back and getting them paid. So that's why you see that lapse.
It's concerning, and I would just ask my fellow board members to keep this in mind as an example of when you hear me over here getting worked up about financial oversight. I mean, this is financial oversight. So, that is my 2 cents on that. Do we have any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, personnel recommendations passed unanimously. Now we're down to board member business. Mr. Baswin.
Ma'am. I do have a question pertaining to some conversations I had after our last board meeting. Mr. Paletti, can you tell me, you said that at our last meeting that we only had one qualified candidate, the one pulled out. I've been told that is not correct. That if I would go back and track Apple tracks, that there were multiple candidates that were not presented to us.
There were multiple candidates who were not qualified to hold the position. They either lacked the degree or had no experience, or for a variety of reasons. But we did end up with 5, I believe it was 5 at one time.
Mhm.
Now, I will gladly talk to the people who are saying that we did have more than one, and I need to know who to talk to, because we had one candidate left standing who had met all of the requirements and bells and whistles.
And then you made the statement that Ms. Wills withdrew, and they were telling me that absolutely not true. She did not withdraw herself from the nominations. So I don't know if
Ms.
there
Wills
was,
told you that?
no, other people that are,
I can't-
because they didn't want to, she didn't want to come to me, they said, so.
So they came to you, and
Other
then I've got
people.
to deal with this anonymous they.
Yeah.
When Mrs. Wills herself looked at me and said, I would like to take my name out of consideration for this
Okay.
position.
And
Now,
so,
that was not coerced. that was in a meeting
Mhm.
with Mrs. Wills at Clewiston Middle School.
Okay.
And I cannot deal, I'm getting hamstrung by having to answer to anonymous concerns. And I don't quite think it's fair. This anonymous business about Ms. Wills didn't say, but yet Ms. Wills didn't tell you that. She told me that.
Mhm.
And I know that I'm telling the board the truth.
Okay. So, I mean, I'm just, you know, when a concern is brought, I want to ask and see if there was any.
No, there were numerous. I think at one point we had more than 10 applicants, but they were from out of town.
Mhm.
They were not certified. They did not have the degree. And so that's where we came through. Or they were experienced in other areas where they had been unsuccessful because we did background checks.
Okay. I mean, and now, the people I spoke with did tell me they think that your choice, that she will do a good job for the district. They weren't downing her.
Yeah.
But they just wanted to, make it known that there was some discrepancies in your report. So
So
I'm just
they're letting it be
asking,
known to you that what I'm telling you is not the truth.
that's kind of what they were trying to beat around about.
Thank
yes,
you
sir.
for sharing for that, Mr. Basquin. I wish you would have called me before an open board meeting to say something like that. But I can assure you that I have told you the truth during this whole process.
Okay.
Dr. Bird, do you have anything?
No.
Do you have anything else, Mr. Basquin?
No, ma'am, thank you.
Ms. Nelson? Under board member business, I noticed, just in our emails, are we we're looking for an administrative assistant at Clewiston Middle School. Are we also looking for a vice principal? So why are we looking for a,
It was my belief and feeling, along with the deputy superintendent, that the principal of the school needs to pick the team that she wants to work with. And the person who she would like to deal with that is not she's qualified, but she doesn't have the degree, so she could be an administrative assistant. We've done that in the past, not in your time, but in the past 10, 15 years ago, we would put administrative assistants in. And that is probably a 2 or 3 year position for this person.
but how would she know that you're getting the absolute best candidate if you're not out there advertising for the highest qualified candidate on that? Like, I mean, how do you decide that without, you know, our job is to put the best people in the right people in the right seats on the bus. And if we're not advertising, you know, your top end, most highly qualified vice principal, especially when we have all of these, I don't want to call them kids, I'm so old, but younger generation that has gone and invested in education leadership degrees. Are we not giving those candidates, these people that we've invested in the district, an opportunity to step up into a vice principal position? And are we potentially, I'm not saying that, you know, whomever you have in mind for administrative assistant is not a qualified person, but are we ensuring to our students and our parents and our staff that we are putting the most highly qualified person in that position?
I believe that we would be, when it's all said and done, that the right person will be in that position.
What is the timeline on the community meet and greet?
I've set that up with them, I've left that up with them. But I have instructed them that I wanted a community meet and greet with the leadership team at Clewiston Middle School.
Okay, well, that's my 2 cents. Superintendent, do you have anything?
Just, I need some clarification we're going to be transitioning legal services, so that 60-day period starts today. I think according to the contract, once a new contract is approved, we have 60 days from that point.
I think I had to provide written notice. I thought it said written notice, I'll double check. And I've not written
His
notice.
contract said 60 days written notice. The
Right.
new contract says it goes into effect once it's fully executed. It hasn't been signed by the other party yet.
Okay.
But
Can we be in discussion on how that works, or does the board have any input on how that should work, or how you want to see it happen?
Have you issued written notice?
No, we have not written
Well,
notice.
it doesn't matter, it's 6 ways one way, half a dozen the other, if you're gonna go by, from this meeting forward after executed contract, you know, the new legal executed contract or written notice, so
Okay.
it doesn't matter, I don't think, do you?
So provide written notice, 60 days written notice per the policy, per his contract is appropriate. And the only reason why we didn't do it sooner, we needed to make sure that there was consensus to have a new contract.
All right, well, you got a 5-0 consensus on it today, so.
4.
4-0, Miss Reverend Brown, the 4-0,
do.
so we do.
One more thing. How many of you are going to come to the Swamp Cabbage Parade?
Mine is based on whether others come. If others want to do it, I know Dr. Bird cannot. And then my Clewiston people,
I'm not
basketball's
gonna
out.
make it.
Not gonna-
I have a funeral to go to.
It's not yours, is it?
Stop.
Out of order.
And Reverend Brown,
I'm probably not gonna make it.
Okay, that was our question, because I don't want to be the only one.
right, I don't
So
want
we
to
ju-
drive him in the truck around, I'm sorry. I
Exactly.
just think that would be
Okay.
weird.
We're
Well,
amazing.
You're welcome to use the truck and drive yourself if you want.
That's all right, we're good.
Yeah.
That's all I had, Madam Chair.
Okay, do we have any citizen comment before we wrap up the meeting? With no citizen comment, I move to adjourn.